I'm gonna make another video on this car today, but this one's for the oil sludge, because I know so many people kill these engines when they don't have to be. People think Chrysler, yeah, okay, Chrysler did have some part in this. However, I think it is also on maintenance that people do, because this car has 225,000 kilometers, and for those of you that are American, it's 130 something thousand miles. Just let me show you. $224,534 kilometers. Let me show you how it runs. Starts perfect. Runs on all cylinders. The notorious 2.7. That's what this is. Runs good. It does burn some oil though. That's because it's high miles. Almost any engine that has high miles will burn oil, except for Fords. So this is how you diagnose, tell, and be able to fix your oil sludge issues on your 2.7s for your Chrysler Sebrings, Intrepids, and I think they're going to Concordes too. So the first thing, with the engine running, open up your oil cap. Oh shit. Look inside with it running. See all that stuff flapping around? Put your hand over the hole. There should be no air coming out. If there is, then you have excessive blow-by. This one has none. I mean, some blow-by is normal. I mean, if there is a little tiny bit of air coming out, I wouldn't be too worried. But with this engine, this shouldn't be very much. Shut it off and walk back to the oil cap. Now you're looking for a dark colored, well, sludge really. The parts in there should be nice and clean. They should be silver. They should be shiny. You know, they will be covered in oil, of course. But you know, it can't be too terribly dirty. Otherwise, yeah, you do have oil sludge. Make sure your oil light isn't on. Make sure your check engine light isn't on. It's not running, I just have it in the on position. But make sure that none of that's on, especially when you're driving these cars. Watch the oil temperature or the oil pressure. If that light comes on, stop. Now, for the reason why this happens, why they start sludging up. For starters, the timing chain and the water pump are known to fail. The water pump on this engine is actually internal. So I'm sure you've heard of someone that's had a vehicle and all of a sudden there was a big puddle of coolant on the ground. And that's because their water pump started leaking. Or you might be driving down the road and then all of a sudden you start hearing a loud squealing sound from under your head because your water pump seized up. Well, the bearings on the water pumps on this particular engine are prone to failure, and that being internal in the engine, when the water pump bearings wear out, they start to leak, and that means antifreeze is now leaking into your oil chamber, and when water and oil mix, you get that creamy coffee colored appearance on your dipstick. And see, this one's fine, because it's a fresh oil change. Nice and clean. When you see that coffee colored, you know you've got problems. That pretty much means that engine's screwed. So anyways, I would definitely say have the water pump and timing chain done every 75 to 100,000 kilometers, or I guess every 50 to 60,000 miles if you're in the States. And this engine's had the water pump and the timing chain changed twice. And this engine is still running fine. When it was actually taken to the mechanic to have that changed, the water pump was actually just starting to leak. So this engine was actually just saved. And funny story, I had a yard sale the other day, and a car the exact same color with the exact same engine came and pulled up, and it was knocking. So that means that engine wasn't really well cared for. I asked the guy to pop the hood, and lo and behold, the dipstick was dirty. So I told him when he takes it to the mechanic, he wasn't going to be getting any good news. These engines, they are bulletproof. You can beat on them, you can trash them, they always start if you take care of them. The preventative maintenance is what you have to do to keep these cars running. So now, my advice is change your oil, change your water pump, change your timing chain. Make sure those are always in good condition, and you will never have a problem with this Chrysler 2.7. And the thing is, if you notice, visit carcomplaints.com. There are so many complaints for the 2.7 Chryslers. It's unbelievable. Check out Intrepid, check out Sebring, and there's hundreds of complaints of engine failure due to oil sludge. And I bet you not one of them has changed their water pump or timing chain. I bet you none of them have even thought of that. And how do you know? You don't know it's leaking until it's too late. You have to change it when you think it's starting to go bad. So that's why you have to change it every 75 to 100,000 kilometers. And this car, it's still running good. So that's my advice. Hope it works out. The only thing I don't like about this car, that being high miles, gasoline engines aren't supposed to do that. This car burns oil. That's the only thing crappy about 2.7s. But they'll run forever. Try Lucas too. That stops oil burning. And the reason why these cars have such a short lifespan, the engines I'm talking about, is because those water pumps are known to fail anywhere from 60,000 to 150,000 kilometers. And that's when they need to be replaced. And that's why you can buy a brand new car, drive it for 4 years, and then the motor blows because that water pump's already worn out. So that's what you gotta do.